One of the remarkable things about this rising of the women is also the development, not perfectly, but in many remarkable ways, of interclass alliances between different groups of women and the coming together of women around issues like suffrage. I'm thinking here of some of the middle class women who became leaders a generation after Charlotte Perkins Gilman's, people like Frances Perkins or Crystal Eastman.
Yes, and there's a very interesting connection here. So Charlotte Perkins Gilman makes the argument that it isn't that women need to reject the home, but that her conception, our conception, women's conception of the home is too narrow. And really the home encompasses or should encompass the whole world. The argument goes something like this: if we're actually going to make the narrowly defined home a better place, we have to change the way in which men and women think about themselves, but we also have to change the way in which politics, economics encumbers the home, throttles it, turns it into this narrow sphere. And so she makes the argument that women have to leap beyond the boundaries of the home to do the kinds of things that would make life better for everybody. So sanitary streets. Jane Addams is on the page with this one. How do you expect women to keep nice, clean houses if they don't have running water? Let's put running water in every house. How do you expect women to, keep cleanliness at home if the streets are filled with mud, for example? Let's put sidewalks on the street. And then to put sidewalks on the street, you need to get involved in municipal politics. You can't get involved in municipal politics unless you have the vote. You can't get the vote unless you're out there being active. And so the home spreads its wings. Well, in this generation of women, who begin to think like she's thinking, there are a number of other women, usually college graduates, sometimes married, sometimes not, people who have decided that their job is to expand the boundaries of the home. And among them are people like, you mentioned Mary Dewson or Crystal Eastman. We'll start with Crystal Eastman, a wonderful, radical woman who's got involved in the minimum wage commission in Massachusetts. So 1910, Massachusetts is considering a minimum wage for men and women. It turns out to be for women only, but Crystal Eastman is involved, and that gets her into questions of why it is that women who are not supporting the family need a minimum wage, and the discovery that women are in fact supporting families, and finally into the sense that men and women can live in some ways side by side, and yet manage to maintain familial relationships and even intimate relationships, giving both freedom. And then Mary Dewson, who gets her start the same way, and yet moves beyond that into becoming active within the Democratic Party, first as an auxiliary, and then after women get the vote in the 1920s, she becomes a good friend of Eleanor Roosevelt, and she becomes a person with some political clout within the Democratic Party, never aspires to office, but creates a kind of bureaucratic position for herself within the bureaucracy. She starts life as a socialist, a relatively well-off woman, and ends as a major figure in the New Deal administration. So there are a variety of ways in which women express their sense of being constrained by the notion of a separate sphere, and express their desire to be out of that sphere. And they emerge in all kinds of different places in this moment, in the late progressive period and the early 1920s.
We're going to hear a lot more about how they coalesce around the movement for women's suffrage next time.